Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching today and welcome. I am today going to be creating a page in my Canson Art Book, and I decided that I was going to use this piece of paper from the Maremi Small Art Collage book, which is the Whispers Between the Music Notes, to be my inspiration for my colour palette. So I'm going through my Kuretake Gansai Tambi Art Nouveau set and picking out the colours that I think match the paper the best. So I started off with my flat brush, and I just sort of slosh my colour down, but I thought I wanted to be a little bit more controlled, a little bit more structured with how I applied it today. For some reason, I don't know why, it's just one of them things. So I'm starting with the two pinks, and the pinks were Coral Pink and Potter's Pink. The bluish colour was greyish blue, and the beige was beige grey. So I'm just applying them. I don't wait for them to dry. I was quite happy for them to blend together and sort of merge into each other. So I'm sort of going with blocks of colour with sort of quite geometric shapes and lines, and I'm just staying away from the very edges of the page but sort of filling in that centre part. As always, I will list all the products that I used in the description box below. Now, I wanted to add some paper in, but I didn't want to cover my entire background, so I decided to sort of create a couple of areas that I was going to use the paper on, and I'm using the Distress Collage medium from Ranger and Tim Holtz in particular, and this is the matte version. I keep using it thinking I'm going to be finishing this pot off, and at the end of this I still had enough left in there that I thought I can't throw that away yet. So it seems to be going on for quite a long time, that pot. So I am putting some of the medium onto the page, then I am putting it on the back of my paper and then over the top to sort of really make sure it's connected to the page. I'm going for strips and sort of little sections, and I'm ripping it because I want those lovely edges. I don't want to have cut edges. I did think about maybe die cutting the paper this time and maybe making circles, but in the end, because of the way I did the background with the paint, I thought this actually worked better. Now, in the background of the paper, there was a bit of script. So again, I'm using the paper as my guide as to what I want to put on this page. So this is a stamp set from Polkadoodles. I don't think it's available anymore from them, but you may find them in smaller stores. I will put some links to this, some of the things that I've used, but please do remember I am in the UK. And I went with a grey ink, so I've gone with Hickory Smoke in the Archivals because it went better with the whole feel of the page. Then I wanted to add some more texture, and again, in the background of the paper there are little bits of lace. So I've gone with this Ornate lace stencil from Finnabair and Prima, and I'm just picking out little parts of it, and I'm making sure it's really nice and flat because it's very detailed. I didn't want to get it splodgy through the stencil, and I'm just putting it on in 3 areas just to add a little bit of extra. Now, whilst that was drying, I decided I was going to go for my focal point, which is a butterfly from the Maremi Small Art Book, Butterflies, funnily enough, volume 1, I do believe it says so, which makes you think there may be a volume 2. But because I've got all that texture on the page, I didn't want to stick it directly onto the page because it would have been a bit lumpy bumpy. So I am, first of all, without cutting it out properly, I'm just gluing it onto some very thin white card, and then really I should have left this to dry, but because I was getting on with getting my project done, I just went and cut it out. So I sort of smoothed it down with my bowl scraper first, just to make sure all the glue was spread out inside, and well, inside on the paper. And now I'm cutting it out, and I am cutting close to the line. I also decided that I was going to cut out the antennae, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. With a lot of the very small butterflies, I probably wouldn't, because it would just be too difficult. This is a bit of a larger butterfly, so I wasn't worried too much. And I had already decided I was going to go over it with a pen afterwards, just to make sure that they sort of looked part of the butterfly. So I'm just cutting that. And this is the little bit where I really did wish I'd left it to dry, because I could feel where the glue was still a little bit damp inside. It made it a little bit more tricky, and I was worried I was going to tear it, but I managed to sort of get away with it. Now, when you cut things out, especially if you've layered them onto card and they're going to be a little bit raised in your project, sometimes you see that white edge of your card around the edge. Now, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. You can just leave that as it is. But it is one of those things that just does niggle at me a little bit. And I do like to cover that raw edge up. So I've got this Unipin pen. It's in grey and it's a brush nib. It's a very fine brush nib. You just do have to be a little bit careful when you do this with your pens, that you don't damage them. So I do it very gently. So I'm just going around the edge, colouring in where the white is, and I also coloured on top of where the antennae were, so that they then looked a lot more as if they were part of the butterfly. Because I'd had to cut around them a bit wider, they may have looked a bit odd. Now, I did something I don't usually do. I did actually do a little bit of die cutting for this project. This is one of the gritty Snip-It dies from Pretty Gets Gritty, which I will link in the description. And I cut it out of grey card because I wanted something to go behind my butterfly. I did sort of put the butterfly up against it, and it needed something. I put some grey splatter with my grey Posca pen on first of all, and now I'm just building up my little focal point. So I'm tearing my piece because it was a little bit big, and then I thought, oh, I'll have it going up and across, and it will make a really nice sort of it's like a guide. It's guiding your eyes into the focal point. Now, it was a little bit more tricky to stick this down because it is very fine die. So I am using my Pinflair Glue Gel. I wasn't too worried about it being properly stuck, so I wasn't going to stick it all over. I just wanted it to not be flapping about too much, and I knew that my butterfly is going to be stuck on top. I did want a little bit of extra texture, so I've gone with some white thread, and then I'm applying the glue to my butterfly. Now, out of the die came all these little bits, and I had thought I might stick some on as little extra embellishments, but when I put them, I didn't really like it. So I'm now just going with some sentiments from the Small Talk sticker pad by Tim Holtz, and I think that would be just about it. So if you have enjoyed this video, do please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, it would be lovely if you could click that subscribe button and join me on this arty crafty journey. And until the next time, bye bye.